alfalfa today. So what we're going to do is Scott's going to demonstrate on the score sheet. We look at package functionality, we look at odor, we look at maturity stage, and this one's on the back side here. Foreign material, dust, soil, rocks, stubble, weeds, non-crop species, forage texture and condition, color and uniformity, and then we have some penalties that we knock points off. So what we're going to do is just demonstrate a little bit on the bale package. We'll open this one up a little bit, and we're going to turn you loose to walk through here. So these are about 16 samples, 14 samples from our Oregon Hay King contest that we just did about 10 days ago. Most of them are alfalfa. There's notes on them. The score sheets are there, and the quality sheets are there. So you're welcome to take a look at those. So, Scott?
All right. One of the first things we look at on overall in the bale is this, how effective can it be shipped, how effective can it be preserved, utilized, stacked in a barn. Some of the bales you'll see they'll be pinched on one side because the density wasn't quite right with baling. Several bales that we judged, we look at the knots, see if we had a double bow tie knot or if the twine tails were uneven, like this one is an example of twine tails that didn't get cut even. And often in our judging over the years, it's a 1 point difference between bales if they're going to be the Hay King or not. Another thing we look for is the distance of the strings from the edges, and so that's one of the tests right off the bat. And then this bale, so we look at it, and often if you could see like this one here is an example of short tails. So like the distance from your twine sweep to the bottom of the knotter frame, if that's too short, because you have a bent twine sweeper, you're going to have a short tail, and often that will break a string. And so what we do is we test to see if they'd pop by pulling, and we had quite a few of these that actually did break, and so we pull a point off. This one's functional. They didn't break, so it'd have full points, even though it has the short tails. So then you pop it, and then one of the first things we would do is we'd peel back a flake and check out the integrity of the flake, and then we'd also take a smell, and often the first whiff, once you break a bale, you can tell a lot about it. Presence of molds, if they baled it incorrectly, you can tell, you can smell dust, and we'll show you some demonstrations on that here later. But you guys could probably smell the alfalfa as soon as you went into the room, but boy, you stick your head in the fresh bales, just like pulling back the tarps on a truck. You can really get a good feel for how it turned out.
So a couple things we look for then is if we find one bud or one flower, that's not enough. We have to find 2 buds or 2 flowers to make it kick it into the next category in terms of how we're going to judge it. We actually, a big bale one year, we had an irrigation pipe show up. It's a little embarrassing for the grower and that, but so we have these surprises from time to time.
We've had mice that have been in the bale.
And rattlesnakes.
And rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. So it's a luck of the draw. So you take 200 ton of hay and you do your sampling, your 20 cores, and then you bring one bale. And if it's the right bale, it's good. If you bring the wrong bale, it's bad. From that standpoint. So it's good fun competition for the growers up there. We've had anywhere from 20 to 65 entries over the years. This was our 23rd year of doing this in Oregon. So. Then we take penalties, for if we find a noxious weed or something, barbed wire or something like that. That might.
And at the top of the sheet, often we'll go with the class and the intended use. And obviously, some bales that are going to be destined for retail, like a small bale, will be different from the large bale. And so the large bale that's going to be retail or export use, we'll make note of it too. And the judging is weighted just a little bit depending on which direction it's going.
Yeah. So what we do is if it's retail, we say, okay, 60% sensory, 40% on test score, and we use RFQ. We don't use RFV anymore. We made that switch about 6, 7, 8 years ago. We do have the RFQ and the RFV score on each one of these that you can take a look at. What we find in Oregon is that there's 20, 30, sometimes 40 points difference higher for RFQ. Occasionally we'll find an RFV that's a little slightly higher than RFQ, but it's rare in that. So we've got some alfalfa, we've got some grass, the serial. There's different notes on each one. Like I say, the score sheets that we ended up with are at each station. The quality is there. We do NIR for the quality and that. So, and I think we probably better let you guys take a look around. And if you have questions, so Scott's here, I'm here, and others are here that probably can answer the questions as well. And Earl is here someplace.
And look behind you.
Oh, okay.
And look at the yellow sheets. There's a special note on each sample.
So we did have our first, as was mentioned earlier, we did have our first 400 RFQ bale show up this year.
What shows that here?
Oh, the frost burn, I think the red leaves, the yellow leaves, and that's what the judges had put down on the score sheet. They thought it had been frosted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have it in 5 years.
Compared to what I've seen so far.
That's cool.
It's soft.
Yeah.
See, this is soft.
Look at this one here.
That would feed.
So there's that there for incubator. Yeah, the rate is, again, theoretically rate is made.
A couple of them show up from the same grower every year, like 16, 17%. High low. Just suck it out there.
They sold this morning. What price do you think they got?